in the cold, silent reaches of uncharted space, a small alien reconnaissance team drifted among the stars, scanning for anomalies and relics of civilizations long forgotten. They were a cautious species, proud of their intelligence and their centuries of exploration, yet deeply wary of what might still lie beyond the mapped sectors. Their scanners picked up a faint energy reading on the edge of a barren system, a signature that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. At first they thought it was a derelict ship, a remnant of a long-dead civilization. But something about the reading made the crew uneasy. As they approached, the object grew larger on their displays. The alien captain, a tall figure with segmented eyes reflecting the starfield, frowned. "Shouldn't be this size," he muttered. The sensors reported impossible dimensions, enormous holes stretching farther than any known ship class, layered with materials that their scanners could not penetrate. The readings flickered, twisted, and returned inconsistent data, as if the ship itself resisted being understood. The team hesitated at the edge of the debris field. The ship was intact, yet it did not respond to hails or scans in the way a normal vessel would. It seemed dormant, yet energy pulsed through its systems in irregular patterns, like a heartbeat struggling against detection. "It's alive," whispered one of the junior officers, his antennae trembling. Laughter followed at first, a nervous attempt to mask fear. No ship could be alive without crew or command systems. And yet every instrument, every sensor, told them something impossible. The ship was not dead. The aliens began scanning more carefully, their curiosity overcoming caution. Small probes were deployed, each one swallowing the distance between their fleet and the mysterious vessel. Immediately, the probes sent back data that defied logic. Shield readings fluctuated in ways that should have been physically impossible. Energy cores appeared to absorb power from nothing, releasing it in bursts far beyond known technology. Weapons systems, even when inactive, emitted pulses that scrambled the aliens' instruments. Each new scan increased the sense of unease among the crew. Then the unthinkable happened. One probe, attempting to dock with the hull, was instantly incinerated by a wave of energy so precise it left no residue but left the aliens staring in silent horror. The ship did not move. It did not flee. It did not even open visible weapons ports. And yet, the probe was gone, disintegrated in a way that suggested intelligence, purpose, and deliberate choice. Fear rippled through the bridge. The captain realized they were no longer dealing with a simple relic. They were facing something designed to defend itself, something that could think faster than their most advanced AI. Despite their fear, fascination drove the aliens closer. They had never encountered a machine or a vessel that could challenge their understanding so thoroughly. Every new reading revealed contradictions, shields that adapted instantly to incoming scans, hull materials that repaired themselves in seconds, energy signatures that shifted with a pattern too complex to be random, the alien scientists argued and debated, their voices trembling as they tried to reconcile the impossible data with the reality before them. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the low hum of the reconnaissance fleet's engines. The ship remained dormant, yet active, a sleeping giant that could awaken at any moment. The captain ordered a full-spectrum scan, a measure designed to map the vessel from every angle. But as the scanning beams hit the hull, the ship reacted. Violently, not with attack, but subtly. Sensors flickered, displays distorted, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed as if the vessel itself was observing them. Every alien on the bridge felt the same chilling thought. They were being watched. For the first time, laughter was gone. Nervous humor had evaporated into a cold, creeping dread. No species had ever created a machine or a warship like this. It was too advanced, too precise, too alive. The implications spread through the crew like fire. If this ship was one of many, if humans were still alive and capable of building vessels like this, the galaxy had underestimated a power it could not even imagine. The alien captain finally spoke, his voice low, strained, and unsteady. "We must report this, immediately. Whatever this is, It is not just a ship. It is a warning, and we may not be ready for what it represents. Outside the windows, the black void of space seemed to press closer, the distant stars pale and insignificant. The human warship did not move, did not speak, and yet its presence filled every corner of the fleet with tension. The discovery that should have been a simple report was instead a revelation. Humanity had returned. The galaxy's laughter, arrogance, and confidence would not survive this encounter. And somewhere, hidden in the depths of the mysterious vessel, systems hummed quietly, awaiting commands, watching, calculating, and preparing. The first ripple of fear had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The alien fleet hovered cautiously around the human warship, their sensors still twitching from the impossible readings of the previous encounter. They had expected relics, ruins, or abandoned vessels, but not this. This ship defied all logic. Every attempt to study it only deepened the sense of dread that hung over the fleet. The alien scientists, proud and confident in their technological mastery, had never faced anything like it. They began systematic analysis, deploying small probes and remote scanners, expecting to map the hull, examine energy outputs, and learn the secrets of its design. The first probes returned astonishing data: shields that seemed to anticipate their scans, energy fields that absorbed power without damage, and hull materials that restructured themselves in seconds. It was as if the ship's systems were alive, adapting instantly to every test. The aliens tried to rationalize it, blaming sensor errors, energy anomalies, or unknown natural phenomena. But every result pointed to the same terrifying truth: the warship was not only functional, it was intelligent. One lead scientist, a tall figure with luminous eyes, attempted to trace the power cores. He expected to see conventional fusion reactors, or crystalline energy cells. Instead, the cores pulsed with rhythms that did not match any known physics. They absorbed energy from the surrounding space itself, converting it into a form of power the aliens could not measure or reproduce. His instruments overheated repeatedly, data streams scrambled, and every calculation contradicted the last. It shouldn't exist," he whispered, voice shaking. The others nodded silently, too afraid to speak. Then they tested the weapon systems. Minimal energy pulses were directed at armored decoys, expecting minor sparks or shield overloads. But the ship responded in ways the aliens could barely comprehend. Shields adjusted instantly, dispersing energy harmlessly. Countermeasures activated. Before any attack fully connected, even the smallest strike left the alien scientists reeling, scratching notes, recalibrating instruments, and questioning centuries of technological knowledge. The ship's design was flawless, adaptive, and lethal far beyond the imagination of any empire in the galaxy. The alien captain tried to maintain authority. "Remain calm," he ordered. "We are explorers, not soldiers. Our goal is understanding." But even he felt a knot of fear tightening in his chest. His crew no longer joked or whispered. Their previous arrogance had vanished, replaced with a cold awareness. They were dealing with something far beyond their comprehension. Something not just dangerous, but unstoppable. Hours turned into cycles as the analysis continued. Every probe sent back results, yet each result seemed to change, as if the ship itself was reading the data, responding, learning. Communications among the fleet grew tense. Arguments erupted about whether to continue or retreat. "We cannot leave yet," some scientists protested. "This knowledge could change everything." Another shook his head. "Or it could kill us all." The captain finally decided on caution, instructing the fleet to maintain a safe distance. But curiosity gnawed at every mind. As the probes explored deeper into the ship's systems, the aliens discovered something even more disturbing. The internal structure suggested compartments, command centers, and machinery too vast to be human, yet eerily efficient. It was a self-contained war engine, capable of operating independently for decades if needed. There were no crew members visible, yet the systems functioned as if guided by experience, intuition, and strategy. Every detail, from energy routing to weapon calibration, reflected a mind capable of anticipating threats before they occurred. Panic began to spread quietly among the scientists. They whispered about the implications. If humans could build one ship like this, how many more existed? Were entire fleets hidden, waiting? Could entire star systems fall before such machines even needed to deploy in force? The realization chilled them to their cores. What had been considered myth, the idea that humanity had survived, had advanced, and had returned, was no longer a possibility. It was reality. The warship, meanwhile, remained dormant but alert. Subtle pulses in its energy fields, slight movements in its defensive arrays, suggested awareness. It was studying the aliens as much as they were studying it. Each scan they performed seemed to teach the ship something new, adjusting, evolving, perfecting. Fear settled over the fleet like a shadow. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were facing the consequences. Finally, the lead scientist attempted one last measure, a direct scan of the ship's core AI. The instruments overloaded instantly, projecting images of incomprehensible structures, energy flows, and algorithms beyond any alien coding. Systems crashed. Lights flickered. The fleet shuddered, as if the ship had spoken without words, asserting dominance simply by existing. For the first time, the aliens truly understood they were no longer in control. The human warship had become the teacher, and the galaxy itself was its classroom. The captain made the only decision left that seemed wise. "We report," he said. "We tell the galaxy what we have seen. They must know. Humanity is not extinct. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is inevitable." Outside, in the black silence of space, the warship hummed softly. Its systems alive, waiting, watching, and preparing for the moment when it would prove that the results of this analysis were only the beginning of a reckoning the galaxy would never forget. The alien fleet had returned to orbit around the mysterious human warship, shaken but determined. After hours of failed scans and inconclusive readings, the scientists were desperate to find answers. They had begun to understand that this vessel was no ordinary relic. It was alive in a way they could barely grasp. Yet curiosity outweighed caution, and the fleet continued probing, hoping to unlock secrets that could change the course of history. Then, it happened. A faint signal pulsed from the depths of the warship, unlike any energy they had recorded. At first, the aliens assumed it was an automated defense system or a rogue transmission from a forgotten era. But as their instruments decoded the signal, they realized it was deliberate. The warship was trying to communicate. Static-filled images, data streams, and symbols began to fill their displays. The captain's segmented eyes widened as he processed the implications. Humanity had returned, and it knew they were here. The first clear transmission arrived. A calm, commanding voice resonating across subspace in a language unlike any the aliens had heard. It was measured, deliberate, and undeniably intelligent. Every word carried authority, precision, and an unspoken warning. The aliens listened in stunned silence as the message became clear. "You are studying us. You have crossed into our space. Do not mistake curiosity for safety. This observation ends now." Panic surged among the alien crew. The scientists argued frantically, some insisting they should respond, others demanding retreat. Every probe, every scan, every experiment now seemed a direct provocation to a species that had survived centuries in hiding, building warships capable of outmatching entire fleets. The realization settled like a weight on every mind. Humans were not only alive, but they were aware, watching, and calculating. The aliens attempted to ignore the warning, to continue their analysis as if nothing had happened. But the warship did not wait. Subtle pulses of energy rippled outward, interfering with the fleet's sensors, scrambling their instruments, and forcing their ships into constant recalibration. Every attempt to map or probe was thwarted by systems that seemed to anticipate their every move. The vessel was alive, intelligent, far more advanced than anything in the galaxy. As the alien captain tried to issue commands, he realized the ship's influence extended beyond mere defense. It was studying them, learning, adapting, and silently mocking every assumption they had made about humanity. The humans had waited for centuries, planning, evolving, and preparing for a time when the galaxy might remember them. And now, with every failed scan, every aborted probe, the aliens were being shown just how far they had underestimated this lost species. Some of the fleet's scientists gathered in hushed groups, their voices trembling. "If this is only one vessel," whispered a young researcher, antennae shaking, "how many more exist? How many ships? How many systems are hidden, waiting?" No one answered. The thought was too frightening, too impossible to comprehend. Humanity had been erased from history, dismissed as extinct, yet here they were alive, powerful, and aware of every move the galaxy made. The captain, however, refused to panic openly. He knew one thing with certainty: this was no ordinary encounter. Humanity's warship had sent a clear message: curiosity was dangerous. Every probe, every scan, every attempt to understand it had been observed. The humans were not hasty, but patient. They waited, calculating the galaxy's response with a precision no alien could match. The alien fleet hesitated, caught between fear and fascination. Some argued for immediate retreat, while others urged a careful, measured response. Of them knew that any action could provoke the humans further. Every moment they lingered, they were being judged, studied, and perhaps marked. The balance of power had shifted silently, invisibly, and irrevocably, as darkness stretched across the uncharted system. The human warship remained silent again, its presence a reminder of centuries-long patience and preparation. The aliens realized the warning had not been idle. Humans were not bluffing. They had survived, hidden, and built power quietly, waiting for the moment the galaxy would see them as they truly were. And now that moment had arrived. The captain finally ordered the fleet to pull back, a decision made reluctantly, with fear tightening in every chest. They had survived the encounter, but only barely, and they knew deep down that humanity had watched, studied, and recorded every move. The first contact had not been violent, but it had been enough. The galaxy had been warned. Humanity was no longer a myth. Humanity was inevitable. And somewhere deep inside the human warship, systems hummed, sensors monitored, and commands were ready to be executed. The message had been sent. The galaxy had listened. And the consequences would unfold in ways no one, not even the oldest empires, could predict. The aliens had been warned, yet their pride refused to believe the full weight of the threat. Humanity, they assumed, was nothing more than a legend, a species too distant, too broken, to challenge entire fleets. And yet, as the alien reconnaissance fleet lingered near the human warship, subtle changes in energy readings hinted at something far more dangerous than they could imagine. The ship had been silent, patient, observing, but it had not been idle. Without warning, the warship's systems activated in perfect synchrony. Shields flared like a sudden sunrise in the void, deflecting the probing scans and repelling incoming signals with an almost sentient precision. The alien sensors went dark, instruments overloading in seconds. Every attempt to maneuver, every calculation the fleet relied upon, faltered under the human ship's invisible dominance. And then, the first strike came. It began with a single pulse directed not at the largest or closest vessel, but at the core of their formation. Alien warships were shredded instantly, torn apart by energy discharges that no defense could absorb. The pulse moved in patterns that seemed deliberate, surgical, striking weak points they had not realized existed. Panic erupted on the bridge of every alien ship. Officers shouted orders that no longer mattered. Fleets that had trained for centuries against the most advanced weaponry in the galaxy were helpless against a single human warship. The alien captain tried to regroup, issuing commands to counterattack. But the warship anticipated every maneuver, countering with precision that defied logic. Energy beams twisted through space in arcs that no tactical AI had ever predicted. Shields adjusted in milliseconds, deflecting attacks before they could connect. Boarding pods deployed almost invisibly, struck alien ships from angles no sensor could track. Entire squadrons vanished before they had a chance to retaliate. The scene was chaos writ across the stars. Alien fleets scattered, their once perfect formations collapsing into disarray. The calm arrogance they had carried into this uncharted system was gone, replaced by fear, confusion, and despair. Every planet observing the battle trembled, broadcasting live feeds of warships, disintegrating explosions tearing through space, and fleets retreating in terror. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Back on the command bridge of the human warship, the commander did not celebrate. He observed silently, calculating, controlling, and executing every action with disciplined precision. This was not a battle of rage, nor one of impulse. Every strike was measured, every movement deliberate. Humanity was proving, without doubt, that they were no longer just survivors. They were masters of war, force beyond comprehension. Alien scientists scrambled to understand the tactics, their minds unable to process the speed, efficiency, and intelligence behind each strike. "It anticipates us," one whispered, voice trembling. "It knows what we will do before we do it." Their instruments confirmed it. The warship's AI and crew were synchronized at a level the galaxy had never imagined. Every shield adjustment, every energy discharge, every movement of the vessel was calculated to perfection. They were facing an opponent who had waited centuries to return and had prepared for every conceivable scenario. The destruction spread quickly. Core worlds braced as orbiting fleets were obliterated. Starports evacuated civilians in panic, only to witness entire defense networks failing within moments. The aliens realized that the human warship was not alone. This was the vanguard of a fleet whose capabilities dwarfed any known force. Humanity had returned not to negotiate, not to explore, but to assert dominance and reclaim what had been stolen. Even the High Council, observing through intercepted communications, felt the first twinges of genuine terror. Leaders who had dismissed humanity as extinct now faced the reality of their hubris. "We cannot fight them," a counselor whispered, voice hoarse. "Like this. Not ever." Panic replaced strategy in every chamber, and the one-sprout empires realized that the legends they had ignored were true, as silence briefly fell after the first wave. The human warship did not rest. Sensors scanned the remaining alien fleets, calculating the next strike. It was patient, waiting for the exact moment when the galaxy's fear would be absolute. Its systems hummed softly, a reminder of the centuries of preparation, the hidden fleets, and the unyielding resolve that humanity had carried in secret. The aliens had learned a dangerous truth. The humans were not just strong, they were inevitable. And somewhere, deep in the dark void, the warship's captain finally issued a single command. The first strike was only the beginning. The galaxy had witnessed a fraction of their power, and even that fraction was enough to change everything. Humanity's return had begun, and the results would be remembered for generations. The aftermath of the first strike left the alien fleets reeling. Entire squadrons had been destroyed in moments, and survivors struggled to understand what had just occurred. Yet fear alone could not satisfy their curiosity. Driven by desperation and awe, the alien scientists returned to the remnants of the battlefield, attempting to collect data from the wrecks, hoping to find some explanation for humanity's unprecedented power. What they discovered only deepened their horror, salvaging the remnants of destroyed alien ships. They attempted to study human weaponry and shields, searching for weaknesses, vulnerabilities, anything that might explain how a single vessel had shattered formations larger than entire fleets. But the more they studied, the clearer the truth became. Human engineering was beyond comprehension. Hulls repaired themselves almost instantly. Energy weapons could absorb, store, and redirect power in ways alien science had never predicted. Shields were adaptive, capable of analyzing attacks mid-strike and neutralizing them before damage could occur. Every system was interconnected, optimized, and intelligent. One scientist, an elder with glowing eyes that reflected the battlefield chaos, muttered in disbelief, "This is not just technology. It is alive." His colleagues nodded silently, unable to dispute the truth. The ship had been built with systems that thought, learned, and adjusted, as if guided by centuries of experience. Every mechanism was designed to anticipate threats, to correct flaws before they could exist, and to act faster than any alien response could match. The realization sent chills through the surviving crews. Humanity had not merely rebuilt, they had perfected war itself. The aliens discovered internal structures that defied imagination. Deep within the vessel were command centers and core systems. Of staggering complexity, automated drones moved unseen, repairing damaged sections of the hull with precision beyond any known fabrication method. Energy conduits pulsed with intelligence, routing power to shields, weapons, or propulsion based on the situation. Every system worked in harmony, creating a war machine that functioned like a living organism, complete with reflexes, strategy, and instinct. Panic and awe mingled as the alien crew speculated. If one ship could achieve this level of engineering, how many more existed hidden in the galaxy's unexplored sectors? The thought was unbearable. Entire fleets, entire civilizations, might be facing a power they could never hope to overcome. Humanity had survived in secret, unnoticed for centuries, while quietly building weapons and ships that no empire could hope to rival. Every calculation, every simulation, every analysis confirmed the impossible. Humans were now the ultimate force in the galaxy. The scientists attempted to reverse engineer even a fragment of the ship's systems. Data flowed into their instruments, but no pattern could be deciphered. Algorithms seemed alive, restructuring themselves in real time to counter alien analysis. Every attempt to probe the ship's core resulted in instant recalibration, leaving the aliens helpless. "They are learning from us," one whispered, eyes wide with terror. "They understand our methods faster than we can think." The truth was undeniable. Human engineering was not static, it was adaptive, dynamic, and impossibly advanced. As the fleet recoiled from these discoveries, the warship remained a silent sentinel waiting. It had achieved what it needed in the first strike: fear, confusion, and recognition. Now it allowed the aliens to see a glimpse of its true power, without yet revealing everything. Even so, the display was enough to break the arrogance of the galaxy's proudest species. Humans had not returned to negotiate. They had returned to dominate, and every detail of their engineering demonstrated that no force could oppose them, without suffering ruin. The alien captain realized the scale of their misjudgment. "We cannot fight them," he said quietly to his officers. "Not now, not ever. This is not just a ship. It is civilization perfected, centuries in the making. We have awakened something beyond our control." The crew could only nod, staring at the faint energy traces of the warship as it drifted silently. It's a predator watching from the darkness of space. Even as fear settled over the alien fleets, some scientists attempted to rationalize what they were witnessing. They searched for weaknesses, for errors, for any indication that humanity was fallible. Each probe, each measurement, each calculation returned only one conclusion: humans had built perfection in secret, hidden across centuries, preparing for a moment when the galaxy would once again notice them. And somewhere within the core of the vessel, systems hummed and sensors recorded, as if aware of every alien thought, every data point analyzed. Humanity was patient, precise, and unyielding. The first strike had been a warning, and the discoveries now being made by terrified observers proved it. No empire, no fleet, no council could hope to comprehend the full scale of what humans had built. The galaxy had been shaken, and the tremors would only grow louder. Human engineering was no longer just technology, it was a statement. A reminder that the species which the galaxy had written off, dismissed, and mocked had returned not as survivors, but as masters. And the aliens, trembling in orbit around the wreckage, finally understood the truth that would haunt them forever. They had underestimated humanity, and that mistake could cost them everything. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible. Alien fleets that had once laughed at the idea of humans now drifted and scattered. Trembling formations, their ships scarred and crippled. Planets that had boasted impregnable defenses now looked helplessly to the void, their citizens staring at the faint glow of distant engines, realizing their myths had been lies. Humanity had returned, and the consequences were absolute. From the depths of the human warship, a transmission began. It spread instantly, across subspace, reaching every listening post, every military command, every civilian network in the galaxy. The message was simple, calm, yet charged with authority that could not be ignored. You studied us. You ignored our history. You assumed we were extinct. You were wrong. Remember, humanity. This is your only warning. The words echoed in every corner of the galaxy. Its alien leaders, generals, and scientists froze. Some dropped communication consoles in disbelief. Others covered their faces in fear. The message was not just a warning, it was a statement of dominance, a declaration that humans had returned and that the galaxy must take notice. The warship hovered silently near the edge of the system, its presence more terrifying than any barrage of weapons. Energy fields pulsed subtly, showing power without aggression. Sensors revealed hidden defenses, fleets lying in ambush, and systems capable of overwhelming entire sectors with precision strikes. And yet the humans did not attack immediately. They waited, allowing the galaxy to absorb the full weight of their presence. A lesson in patience and inevitability. On the command bridges of the alien fleets, panic spread like wildfire. The High Council, previously arrogant and dismissive, held emergency sessions that ended in chaos. Every strategy they had relied upon failed to account for a species that had survived, evolved, and mastered war in secret. Calculations that once assured victory now only confirmed one terrifying truth. Humans were unstoppable. Some alien factions attempted to respond, sending envoys and signals to negotiate. But the humans ignored them, not out of arrogance, but out of calculated strategy. They had returned not to debate, not to bargain, but to demonstrate the futility of resistance. Every planet, every fleet, every council chamber realized, perhaps too late, that the myths had underestimated the truth. Humans were no longer just a story, they were reality. From orbit, the humans watched as alien systems scrambled to repair damage as fleets limped toward safety, and as civilizations quaked under the implications of what had been revealed. They had waited centuries to return, and every action they took now served a single purpose: to ensure that the galaxy would remember their name, and that arrogance and dismissal would never again mask the power of humanity. The alien captain, the same one who had first encountered the warship, finally spoke, his voice trembling. "We cannot fight them. Not ever. This is not a ship. It is a civilization perfected. We have awakened something beyond our understanding." His officers nodded, eyes wide as the stark reality of their defeat settled over the fleet. Humanity had not merely survived, they had perfected survival and dominance in ways that no empire could hope to match. And then came the final act. The humans broadcast a second message, clearer and more chilling than the first. "You studied us. You learned too late. We warned you. Humanity will no longer hide. Your fleets, your empires, your myths, none will survive arrogance. Accept your place or face the consequences." The words reverberated across the stars, sending shockwaves through every system. Entire councils dissolved under the weight of fear. Populations fled planets, leaving cities abandoned. Even the bravest fleets found themselves paralyzed, unable to organize under the sheer inevitability of human power. For the first time, the galaxy understood the truth. Humans were no longer just a species. They were a force that would reshape everything forever. In the silent void, the human warship glided smoothly. Engines humming softly, systems alive, sensors observing. They had sent their message, demonstrated their power, and revealed a fraction of their capabilities. And yet, the galaxy knew instinctively this was only the beginning. Humanity had returned, patient and unstoppable, and the stories that had once been laughed at were now written in the destruction and awe left across the stars. The alien fleets fled toward safety, broken and humiliated. The High Council disbanded, powerless to respond, and on distant planets citizens whispered the same fearful words. The humans are back, and the galaxy will never be the same. The message had been delivered. The warning had been clear. And somewhere, within the depths of the human warship, Systems hummed in quiet preparation,
Oh,
waiting for the moment when the galaxy would fully understand the power of a species that had been underestimated and dismissed for far too long. Humanity had returned. The Gal,